I completed Hades well over a year ago. If you've seen my previous video on the subject, you will know how difficult beating Hades the first time was for me. It took 144 escape attempts before I got my first win. A year and a half later, I've come back to Hades. There's something about the melee-style game, enhanced by a rich, meaningful storyline encircling Greek mythology, that attracts me. This time, it only took about 40 escape attempts to get my first win over Hades. Part of this was having to go through the process of powering up Zagreus from 0 to competitive. The other part was that my melee skills had atrophied a little since I last played. Eventually, I had Zagreus powered up to where I could be hopeful of victory. I beat Hades first with the Eternal Spear this time, then the Adamant Rail, followed by the Heart-Seeking Bow. As usual, I had trouble with the close-up weapons, the Stygian Blade, the Shield of Chaos, and the Fists of Malphon. My movement skills were lacking, and I took too much damage when needing to be so close to strike my opponents. Eventually, after considerable frustration, I honed my skills and started dancing better in the melee. It was fun. Because I haven't upgraded any of the aspects of the shield, the special is pretty weak to begin with. It takes too much time to bring down an opponent. Of course, the special can be upgraded over time to considerable power. On my first winning run with the shield, this was the strategy. In every boon that came my way, I focused on upgrading the special when possible, directly or indirectly. I got lucky and began with the Daedalus Hammer. I chose Dread Flight, which would enhance my special to hit 4 additional foes before returning. This is a big deal with the shield. I started off by ignoring the attack option and going with Thunder Flourish, a lightning bolt when striking with my special. Now my shield did damage along with an added thunderbolt damage. It had an immediate effect. My next boon was from Demeter. I'm not a big fan of her boons. I went with Mistrial Dash that shoots a freezing gust of wind ahead when I dash. This is what I call an ancillary offensive effect, since I can't use it directly to defeat a foe. I had a perfect run through my first boss challenge with the 2 skeletons. The Mistrial Dash was in effect, but of course it was the shield with Thunder Flourish that did the real damage, with casting in between. When Ares showed up, I could have upgraded my attack since there were no special options, but I have so little confidence in my attack, it gets me killed. I went with a revenge damage option, Curse of Vengeance. With it, I would give out 140 damage to nearby foes when I take damage. I take enough damage when I play that this would probably do some good. When Poseidon showed up, I replaced Mistrial Dash with Tidal Dash. It's effective in giving me room as I dash around in a panic and can do some real damage in enclosed areas. That tidal surge around me when I dash gives me confidence. On my first palm of power, I stuck with my plan and upgraded my special to the next level. In Charon's shop, right before I was to enter my round with one of the Furies, the first level boss, I had to consider. It was a boon from Demeter again, not exciting. Then I saw Rare Crop, that makes all your current boons common again, but then will upgrade every boon 1 level every 3 encounters. My sons had sung the praises of this choice if you get it early enough in the game. I wasn't sure that at the end of the first level was early enough, but I took a chance.
How many times is it going to take, Red Blood? How many? Tell me, how can you stand running into me like this over and over?
Could I beat the Fury with common boons? Let's see.
That does it!
Veiled in darkness.
At the beginning of Asphodel, I stuck with the keepsake of Myrmidon Bracer, where I take 25% less damage from the front, but 10% more damage from behind. From Zeus, I picked Electric Shot, which turns my cast into a shot of electricity that bounces between foes. I was tempted by the call Zeus's Aid, but went with the cast instead for more repeatability. From Hermes, I went with greater evasion to give me a 20% chance to dodge damage when being hit. This came in handy. I saw a lot of dodges during my fights. A good choice.
The haste of Hermes.
From Zeus, I chose Static Discharge. This adds jolt damage to any lightning effects that would enhance my cast and my Thunder Flourish for the lightning strikes that occur when I use my special. From Demeter, I chose Ravenous Will. This made it so when I had no cast, I took 10% less damage and dealt 20% more damage. I just had to remember to get rid of the casts as fast as I got them back. This really added to my defense and my offense. For my next Palm of Power, I leveled up my special, giving my Static Discharge jolt damage a bump up from 79 to 115. This was level 2. On my third Palm of Power, I went to level 3 of Static Discharge. This took it from 115 to 140 damage. My specials might hit 4 opponents each throw and deliver an additional big damage. My special was becoming a serious weapon. At the beginning of Elysium, I was tempted to pick the skull to get that 4th extra life. I usually need it to take me through the level. Plus, if I meet Patroclus, he can get me back to my 4 lives before I enter the Temple of Styx. I decided not to this time. I felt confident enough with my powerful special and how well I'd been moving to stick with 3 lives and the Myrmidon Bracer, which gave me the 25% less damage from the front. I would just have to watch my rear. My first encounter in Elysium brought on the Daedalus Hammer. I chose Explosive Return. This deals 50 damage to foes around me when I catch my shield on return. This would happen a lot.
Not too heavy.
My first boon in Elysium was from Poseidon. It didn't help my special, but it was still helpful. I chose Razor Shoals, delivering rupture damage on top of knockaway damage. My encounter with the mother of all soul catchers went better than ever before. Usually I take immense damage from the heroes as I wail away on the armored soul catcher. The beefed up shield special allowed me to keep birthing champions at bay as I consistently brought the soul catcher to the breaking point. It was a nearly perfect run and so satisfying. I don't know that any other weapon can handle this particular battle as well as the shield. Usually I'm so relieved to find Patroclus because I need to get a life or 2, or 3 or 4, back. This time, I still had all 3 lives left. I chose instead Hydrolite Gold, which would give me 30% health back for the next 5 chambers I entered. A timely gift. On my next Palm of Power, I leveled up the Lightning Jolt effect, Static Discharge, to level 3, bringing 158 more damage to my special shield strikes. On my final Palm of Power before the boss fight with Theseus and Asterius, I leveled up my Thunder Flourish to level 3, bringing 80 points of damage to the lightning strike that accompanies my special. I felt fairly confident going into the always difficult Elysium boss fight. I normally lose a life or 2 in this fight. Not this time. I went in with 175 health and left victorious with 87. I was satisfied with that. I bought 50% damage to armor from the Well of Charon before entering the Temple of Styx. I was thinking ahead to the armored rats and satyrs. I always enter the Temple of Styx with trepidation. I have a phobia of satyrs. They are my nemesis in those big rooms with the falling bladed traps. This time I did just fine. 5 doors, all leading to losing health and potential death. Only one leads to freedom. I chose health first. I started with 175 health and ended the run with 112. It was a tough run, which included the big rat satyr room I hate so much. I didn't feel too bad. I gained a little health with the reward and left with 135 health. I next chose the Palm of Power door. I was lucky to find the Satyr Sack on the second run.
This way. I can't.
With the Palm of Power, I upgraded my static discharge, jolted, to level 5 with 170 damage. Every throw of the shield, my special, would bring that added damage. I had 576 coins, so with another Palm of Power, I upgraded Thunder Flourish, lightning bolt with special, to level 4, 86 damage. I then bought a boon from Zeus, Double Strike, that gave my lightning bolts a chance to strike twice. So now my shield special does damage on its own, it's accompanied by a lightning bolt that might strike twice, and the lightning strike seriously jolts the victim. I'd be throwing my shield like a madman, dishing out damage to up to 4 foes at once. I was ready for Hades, otherwise known as good old Dad.
Joyfully, the Hound of Hell accepts another Satyr Sack.
I'm here, Father. Come on.
No matter how quickly you're able to get here, I shall be waiting.
I did my best to keep the casts out. I dashed hither and thither and kept the shield airborne, focusing on Hades, but making sure to hit the minions he kept calling in to keep their numbers down. I took Hades' first health bar without losing a life.
You waste your strength. Let's see you deal with this.
I was feeling really good. I saw the first fiery beam attack coming, but panicked a little and lost my first life of the game.
Still resist.
I managed to avoid the next beam attack, along with the shockwaves. I felt good about this, as I usually lose considerable health to the shockwaves. I kept wailing away with the shield and throwing the casts as I could. Right near the end of Hades' second health bar, I got caught by the ghostly arms and lost my second life of the game. Fortunately for me, Hades was done.
No matter how many times you beat me, we're family. There's no escaping that. Farewell.
I would love to make a perfect run against Hades, but after all the trouble I had with the shield in my previous runs, I felt really good with my victory. The run took me 29 minutes, my fastest yet. The game is such a pleasure to play, except after a frustrating loss. I don't know how they could have designed the game any better. The storyline is rich in Greek mythology and told in an engaging way for today's gamers. The character development is satisfying and the dialogue and voice acting are magnificent. The story, one about family relationships, is timeless and, for me, takes the game over the top.
Is that you, Zagreus?
It's only me.
Son, I have to ask you, how much do you know about your relatives upon Olympus?
I think I know quite a bit by now. I've been in steady contact with Athena, Zeus, and other members of the family ever since I first left Father's house. They've been assisting me in getting here.
No,